Yo, 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 welcome back to the Boosty Sports Pod. Just two bros smarter than the average Joe. Just trying to get our word out there. Little technical difficulties this week, Griff.
Yeah, you forgot your camera.
I
So using his phone.
forgot my camera, so I'm kind of improvising a little bit, but I think
He's
I
using his
think
phone.
using my phone, but I think we'll be good. So
You should be alright.
it might look like a little different angle and the green screen's a little messed up, but you know what? Fight through it. Um, Big week in sports.
Yeah,
In
huge
several
week.
across several different sports,
Huge.
but we'll kind of recap this week, and then we'll go into NASCAR, and then we'll really dive into like the free agency stuff that has just started today. Um, and dang, this week is going to be packed with that. But we'll start AD last night. Pops off for the Lakers. Drops 27, 25, 5 and 5, becomes the first player in NBA history to record a 25, 25, 5 and 5 game.
And I think three. What was it? 5-5-3. I don't know.
I don't know. It's
Huge
insane.
performance. Huge performance. Was it against the Timberwolves?
Yes, because
Yeah.
Austin Reeves hit that little spin move to the basket to score.
So doing that on Gobert is crazy.
Yeah, Gobert has not had a good week.
Yeah. Losing to the Cavs and then the Lakers, and then also having Cat out with the torn meniscus. They're not having a good week at all.
Hmm.
Um, the Lakers are kind of getting on a stride here.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
beat the Bucks and they just beat the Timberwolves.
and in that Bucks game, D'Lo had 44 points with a LeBron on the bench.
Yeah, LeBron was not playing in that game. I had him as one of my picks in the booth battles, and I was a little nervous after I saw that LeBron wasn't gonna play. But I didn't have to worry because D'Lo said, "Nah, I'd win," and shows up with 44.
He played
So
insane. He shot 9 for 12 from behind the arc. Started 4 for 4 from behind the arc. He was in his bag from the beginning.
speaking of in her bag the entire time,
That's fitting.
Iowa wins the Big Ten tournament. Um, didn't really face a lot of the top competition after Michigan State
And Ohio
and
State's
Ohio
horrible
State.
loss.
Yeah, they lost early, so it was Nebraska and Iowa.
Still went to
Uh,
OT though.
did go into OT. They kept it competitive all year. Nebraska got one on Iowa earlier in the year, but uh, just better team, better player as your best one. So I mean, it's not really a surprise that they won.
Yeah, I think the interesting one with that one is people that like dog Caitlin Clark for scoring a lot of points. I mean, she had 4 points at half, but she also
Yeah,
had 7 assists. So it's like can't really challenge her anymore. She's definitely the best women's basketball player we've seen in college in any recent time.
yeah. She also had 15 assists, I think, versus Michigan early in the tournament. So that's also a good sign to see from your star player.
Yeah. We'll keep it in women's basketball. Huge fight Sunday in LSU South Carolina women's basketball tournament. Um, it was with 2 minutes to go. LSU's point guard came down, got a steal, kind of stood up. South Carolina girl came over, gave her some crap. She pushed her, and then big girl from South Carolina comes over, pushes her to the ground. That's actually where I'm at this week in our little
Yeah.
green screen action. But South Carolina holds on to win, stays undefeated. I don't think they've lost in like 764 games in the regular season. Um, Insane to think about. But I don't think South Carolina should have been there.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been there. Um, we'll get into that probably a little bit later, but uh, South Carolina won on one of the craziest Hail Marys I've ever seen. That was just untouched, unguarded.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. A game-winning three is usually a very monumentum swinging play, and it requires everyone to guard this person as the clock hits zero. But no, this one came. The girl who had never hit a collegiate three in her life, wide open, at the very top of the 3-point line. open and just shot it, and they won the game off that, down two.
Yeah.
Um, if that's not just crazy luck that A, Tennessee didn't guard her, and B, the first collegiate 3-pointer you ever hit in your life is to
Yeah.
beat a team to go to the finals in your conference tournament is pretty wild.
Yeah. Um, that South Carolina LSU game too. So we talked about the fight a little bit, but all the benches got ejected from that point. So each team played with 5 girls for the
Oh,
last 2 minutes of the
yeah.
game. And if I'm not mistaken, none of the girls that got ejected were allowed back on the court to celebrate the championship with their teammates. I think it was just the 5 girls that were on the court that got to hoist up the trophy, which is sad, but at the same time, consequences have actions. So
Speaking of consequences have actions, one of the girls that was in the scuffle, her brother,
that's so
jumped
funny.
onto the court and started trying to defend her sister from, I think, what team was he? Was that South Carolina?
It's LSU's point
Okay,
guard.
okay. So LSU's point guard's brother came in to try
Johnson's
to
her
defend,
last name.
and actually he just got arrested and charged with, I don't know, I can't
It's
remember the
like
charge.
it's like 4 different charges. But dude, I want to shout out that cop that followed him. Dude, that cop hurdled that scores table like it was nothing, dude.
Definitely a former athlete himself
He
with
was
those hops.
actually insane. Speaking of insane, the Wizards finally won a game. They're not that team. Well, they are that team, but
They still are
Wizards
that.
Wizards snapped 16-game losing streak. Couldn't tell you how they did it, who they did it against. No one's following the Wizards. I think more people follow the Pistons at this point than the Wizards.
That's
But
probably true.
um, God, that's such a horribly ran NBA franchise.
That is true.
So bad.
You had John Wall and Bradley Beal for pretty
Countless
much all
years.
of the 2010s, and you did nothing with it. John Wall had like a weird moment in his career where, like,
He was bouncing team to team for a little
yeah,
bit.
and Bradley Beal stayed there even though he shouldn't. He didn't, like. I
He
don't think
got
he
his
should have.
money. He got his money.
And then dips to Phoenix, but a little too late, I think. But and then you don't have like no hope either. Like there's no
No,
one on your team right now that
no. There's no
no
future
future. Yeah, no
stars. Kyle Kuzma is your best player. Jordan Poole is
full
for
kind
some
of does
reason
stuff.
better off the bench than
Yeah,
starting a game.
kind of like Clay.
Yeah, uh, yeah, kind of. Clay's Clay though. But
I know that.
I could see
I
another
just
16-game losing streak happening from this franchise.
yeah, I could see them going out and breaking the Detroit's record that
I
we
don't,
were.
yeah, I don't know if there's enough time. I don't know if there's enough games left, but because I
Yeah,
think
there
they only
isn't.
probably have like 23, 24 games left.
Yeah, there isn't enough.
But gosh, that would be so funny.
They're so horrific.
um, some good basketball though. Major conference tournaments start this week. Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12, and Big East, along with some smaller mid-major conferences, MAC, Atlantic 10, and conferences like that. But that's going to be fun to watch, and I would definitely be tuning into your TVs this weekend because, as we saw last week in the ASUN tournament, shit gets wild, bro. Like
Yeah, shit gets nuts.
it's March, and every game's going to be a game to watch. I know on like there can be some blowouts. I know on the women's side there's a lot more blowouts in those first parts of the tournaments, but men's basketball in March is just a spectacle to
There's not
watch.
there. It's either a blowout that you didn't expect or a close game that you didn't expect. There's
Yeah.
no you expect the unexpected, pretty much.
Mhm.
And hopefully we
Um,
get a better one than last year.
yeah, and we're gonna get games like North Carolina and Duke the other night. North Carolina led that game the whole entire time, ended up winning by 5 as underdogs to sweep Duke. I think this was their first ACC outright championship since 2017, which for me is weird to think about. I know
Yeah.
there's Duke and Virginia, so those teams are always going to be competing for the top. Uh,
Virginia though, pretty quiet this year.
they're right now sitting at like last 4 in um, to the tournament, but I mean
Never count them out.
Never count them out. Unless you're a Furman fan, then you can count them out. Um,
Speaking of never counting them out,
the Cavs this week. We talked about last week how Cavs had a bad game against the Knicks. No Donovan Mitchell, no Karis LeVert, and then they play the Celtics 2 nights later without Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, and a couple other. Oh, Evan Mobley.
Garrett Levert as well.
Yeah, Karis LeVert played that game, I think, but it doesn't matter because the Cavs beat the Celtics at home, and then go and lose to Atlanta, and then come back home and beat the other number one seed in NBA,
And
the
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves, in overtime. Poor
And then they go out
performance.
and lose to the Nets
you know,
yesterday.
I think the Cavs are just playoff ready already, dude. I think they
Uh,
got their eyes set on the top teams, and they're clocked out till the playoffs start.
yeah, they don't really care if they're losing to the Nets or the Hawks. One of those, yeah, it's just a weird ass team.
Yeah.
Uh, just when you're like, okay, yeah, they're definitely gonna lose this game, they
hmm
don't, and then you're like, oh, easy dub, we should. They lose. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation for everyone involved.
One thing I've noticed, like with Donovan Mitchell being out, um, Evan Mobley has kind of been a streaky player since he came into the
Yeah,
league. Like he shows so much potential and he can go out there and be that guy that night. But Jared Allen is like one of the most consistent players at the big man position I've ever seen. So Jared
sure.
Allen goes out there and has himself a night pretty much every night. But the Cavs' success I've noticed, especially with since the All Star break, has all been dependent on is if Darius Garland shows up and
Yeah,
shows out. Darius Garland can come in and drop 25, the Cavs are going to win that game. But if he doesn't, which for me is kind of a good thing because he's your second to third scorer when Donovan Mitchell's on the floor. So if your second or third scorer is the one going out there and being dependent on if the game's gonna win, I mean, I kind of think that's a good look. If your third scorer can go out there and win you a game.
I mean they're definitely solid. Uh, just yeah, it's just the consistency that's worried that I would worry about. Like you have people like the Celtics and the Bucks, who the Bucks were very inconsistent, but they
And
kind of hit
the
their
Heat,
stride.
the Heat now right now too are catching their stride with
Yeah,
Terry Rozier's getting settled into the Heat culture, and they're starting to flourish too. They're making their way up the Eastern Conference standings.
I just don't think the Cavs are as consistent as they need to be to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah,
Like I think, yeah, they're definitely not beating the Celtics in a 7 game series.
I
Um,
think that
they probably wouldn't beat the
they're
Bucks in a 2 game
probably
series.
I would say the Cavs are probably the second um, scariest team to the Celtics though in the Eastern Conference.
I think the Bucks would
Mhm.
give them a hard time because
Yeah,
although the Bucks are also very inconsistent, I just think that Giannis would just switch it on, and then obviously Dame being the second option is always a good thing to rely on. So we'll see
we'll
as
see. the
April approaches.
The playoffs this year are going to be crazy in the NBA. The
Yeah,
play-ins right now are stacked. I mean, in the East you got well Orlando jumped them, but you got the Pacers, the 76ers are falling, the Knicks are falling, and then you go out west, you have the Lakers, Warriors, Kings are
Kings,
up.
Mavs,
It's going to be a great playoffs to watch this year.
for
Um,
sure.
and team going into the playoffs, Ohio State is going into the Big Ten tournament this week, coming off a 4-game win streak, um, sitting at 19 wins. Yes. Have some quad one wins on their resume, but need to go and pull 2 wins out of a hat this weekend if they really want to slide into that bubble conversation for the tournament.
For sure. I think they play Iowa
Yep.
in the first round or the second round. Or I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
that game is probably gonna be pretty even. I know Iowa's been all like pretty decent. Obviously not what they have been in
Yeah.
the
We
past, but
we lost to them about 3 4 weeks ago.
yeah. But that was that with
Yeah,
Holtman
we had
with
Holman.
okay. So did a whole completely different ball game. Well, I guess we'll see. It would be cool to see them kind of make a late push into the because they are fun to watch with this new culture and style of play. But
hmm
they gotta, like you said, at least get 2 wins to get looked at as a March
Yeah.
Madness team.
And
So
if that doesn't happen this year, I will say Ohio State next year is going to be really dangerous. We play a lot of sophomores, freshmen. I mean, really, you're only really losing Zed Key and maybe Evan McAfee would be your only two that you're losing. Um, and trust me, like we'll be fine. Um, to look at the NCAA tournament right now, one seeds are Houston, Purdue, UConn, Tennessee. Tennessee jumped Arizona. Um,
After they lost to
no, before they
USC.
lost in the brackets, and then Arizona loses, and it's kind of just like even
Tennessee,
more
yeah.
solidified. As long as Tennessee can pick up 2 games or win the SEC tournament, they'll probably be sitting there as the number 4 1 seed going into next Sunday. And last on this week in sports, sad way to end this week in sports, but Alfred Sengun had 2 great games this past week. Had a really bad knee and ankle injury. I think he just got out of surgery today, but that one's sad. He's averaging 21, 9, and 5 um, as a third-year player, but he's he. I know you don't watch him as much, and I don't either, but he is a really fun player to watch. He reminds you a lot of Jokic.
I did see that he got wheelchaired out,
Yeah.
so definitely not a good look. I don't think the Rockets are going to make the playoffs, but just yeah, sad seeing a guy in his stride, like he was, get injured, and hopefully he'll be good by the start of next season to lace him up again.
Yep. Um, something not as eventful this weekend, but NASCAR yesterday in Phoenix. Um, kind of went how we expected it from a racing standpoint. A lot, very spread out. I mean, you can
It
call
was
it boring, and I mean, it can be backed up, but yeah,
so it was weird because it was spread out in terms of like times and how far people were, but at the same time, Phoenix is a pretty short track,
yeah,
and a lot of people were around each other at one time. And honestly, I thought there would be more cautions than there were. There was only about 4 or 5 of them, and it was a lot of like solo cautions where
yeah,
like
that did surprise me.
Hamlin got spun by himself. And then Joey Logano got spun by John Hunter Nemechek, so his day was done. And then there was a one
Bush
early,
spun
yeah,
out too
Bush
on
spun
his
out,
own.
and then Austin Dillon, and I forget another car. I think it was Cindric got spun
Yeah,
out
it
early
was Cindric and Dillon.
in very very early into the race. It was kind of there was a lot of lead changes, but none of them really mattered.
Mm,
Uh, Pit strategy was a lot different. It's just kind of what you expect with a short track like this. That Phoenix has never been like really one of my favorites because usually you'll have a solidified like top 5 that will dominate the race the whole time, and then no one else really gets close. This one was kind of like that. Once Hamlin spun, uh, pretty much no one could stop Christopher Bell.
yeah,
He led the last like probably 40 laps on his own. Martin Truex was out there for a while, but he had to pit. So Bell just he had a rocket of
yeah,
a race car. I think by the time he crossed the finish line, he was 7 seconds ahead of second. So it was a pretty lame finish, and we've been spoiled with finishes this year. Pretty close finishes. So obviously this would be a little slow and just non eventful, but next week will be eventful. I could promise you that because it is Bristol. They just repaved the track, and Bristol's always a fun one because unlike Phoenix, it will be close no matter what happens. So there's a lot of opportunities for guys that get outclassed in the intermediate tracks to get a shot here. So I'm pretty excited for next week.
yeah. I'm just gonna like recap it a little more. Gibbs came out, led a lot in the first stage. Reddick won the first stage. Bell won the second stage, and then Bell actually came out of pits at 10th going in the third stage. like you said, was just consistent, had a rocket of a car, uh, worked his way back up, took the lead and won by about 7 seconds. But I mean, like you said, Bristol next week is going to be so fun. That's such a short track
Yeah.
that no matter what, you're going to have cars right next to each other. One thing you said that there wasn't as many cautions this weekend, and like I know I haven't watched a lot of NASCAR, but one thing that surprised me a lot was I figured there would be a couple cautions going into turn one, and you cut through the apron, and then you come um, back up onto the track. I feel like that's like a prime spot for there to be accidents,
Yeah.
like someone getting up and then not seeing a person and just tapping them on the side. But
Yeah, well, that kind of we did see the only cautions there were was pretty much on that part of the track as well, because
yeah,
especially what happens when you get to like the end of the race and people get desperate is they'll really hit that turn, and that's usually when cautions will occur. But we didn't really see that. I think probably a large part due to the field was pretty spread in terms of like the actual leaderboard. So,
yeah.
but yeah,
All right. Well, something that was a lot more eventful. Um, First day of the NFL season started today, March 11th. Um, Crazy things have been going down already, and I think we're gonna be talking for a little bit about this.
yeah, for sure.
We'll start. Broke on Sunday. Russell
Sunday night
Wilson.
at like midnight, by the way.
Yeah, Russell Wilson to the Steelers for the vet minimum, which is what everyone already assumed he was gonna sign for. Um, when I saw the reports that he had flew to meet with the Giants and then was driving to Pittsburgh to meet with the Steelers, I kind of thought for a second what it would be like for Russell Wilson to be a Steeler. And I know me and you've talked about it too. I think this is a good move for the Steelers for the fact that Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph are their QB battle right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. They pretty much would have had to sign like Jay Cutler like 10 years out of the league for
Yeah.
me to think that this signing wouldn't be good. Uh, I know obviously Wilson's got a lot of slack for his time in Denver and all that, but he is still a starting quarterback in the NFL, and in my opinion, way better than Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph. And I think it would be good for them to get a veteran like that in their QB room to learn from, especially Kenny, because he got kind of thrown into the starting position when he was obviously not ready for it in a weak 2021 QB class. Um, I think they'll probably utilize him well. Unfortunately, Wilson does have to get calls from Arthur Smith, so we'll see how he's utilized in that situation. But um, Wilson really thrives in the play action, and if the Steelers can kind of uh, make that his big strength and use it, I think he'll be more than fine in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think they can get Najee going if he decides to show up, and then I think George Pickens will definitely benefit a lot more from this than like some of the other pieces on the offense will. But
Yeah.
overall, good signing for the Steelers. I
Well,
know
just
that
getting
really,
getting a guy like that
yeah,
for that minimum is crazy too. Like, why not take a chance on him?
yeah, and I know that really hurt you to talk decently about the Steelers there, and you talk bad about them, but I know that hurt you. But I'm glad you made it
Well,
through that.
I can't. Yes, I want it to not go well for them, but at the same time, I don't hate Russell Wilson, and I think that a lot of the situation in Denver was Denver's fault.
Yeah,
So I'm not gonna sit here and say that he sucks and that the Steelers are stupid for it, because it was actually I think it was a really smart idea. Even if he doesn't work out, I mean, it was
yeah.
only the vet minimum, so you're not really losing
I
anything.
mean,
So
yeah,
it's nothing to lose, all to gain from this. It's a very smart idea for
yeah.
sure.
You're a 9-8 team that limped your way into a lot of wins, and
Your defense
your
alone.
defense is good, and you're signing a guy that went 26-8 uh, touchdown to interception ratio last year and threw for over 3,000 yards. And I know he has his problems within the pocket too long and getting sacked, but I mean, you got to take that chance, and I agree with you. Um, One that this one really wasn't taking a chance. This is one that we've talked about. We talked about last week, talked about before. It was kind of a flip between which quarterback would be there, but Kirk Cousins to the Falcons on a 4-year, $180 million deal. Perfect for the Falcons, perfect for Kurt. I think this is all around an A plus move. ESPN does not think that, but I agree. I think this is a great move for the Falcons.
Definitely is a great move. I think. What do you remember? What the grade the ESPN gave it?
I think they give it
Just
like a C plus or a B minus.
well, I'm
And
curious
I,
to
I
see.
think they're only docking it for the money they gave him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that and how he's gonna react off the
Achilles.
Achilles injuries
Yeah.
plus his age. But if you're getting the Minnesota Kurt that we've seen in past years, Falcons 100% was the this was the best thing that they could have done. You're getting a guy that has proven that he can be a top quarterback in the league. Uh, he turned a pretty bad Minnesota team
Yeah.
into a good playoff contender if the offense, or I guess the defense as well. I just any issue that the Vikings had, it usually wasn't Kurt's fault. The primetime games, of course, he's not perfect, but definitely better than anything the Falcons have ever had since Matt Ryan's prime.
Yeah.
And with an offense like the Falcons have, you had to bring in someone like this. And I think uh, this offseason, Kurt was by far the best option, and going out and getting him was definitely the best move.
Yeah. And now this opens up the doors to talks about what Minnesota's going to do. We obviously assume right now with like mock drafts and everything, JJ McCarthy right there in the early middle of the second round. But I mean, if JJ gets picked up before Minnesota, you're not going to stretch on a guy like Bo Nix or Michael Penix. You're going to have to then maybe look and call up the Bears maybe. I know that's a division rival, but I mean, Justin has to end somewhere, and if there's a quarterback job open,
Yeah, for sure.
doesn't have to
Uh,
make sense right away.
yeah, I with both the Steelers and the Falcons getting their quarterbacks and their pieces, I don't really see any place where
Yeah,
Fields could fit. So I think that alone has probably made the Bears want to keep him because he really couldn't go anywhere else.
yeah, and like like at this point we don't know yet, but it's looking Bears are gonna get Caleb Williams, and then you go, oh well, the only open QB job is Washington. Well, Washington's gonna take Jake May or Jaden Daniels. So it's like you don't know what's gonna go on. I think really the only team right now that Justin Fields could start on opening day would be um, Minnesota.
Yeah, that and before there was Gardner Minshew stuff, I thought the Raiders
Hmm.
would be a good place for him as well. Just because you have uh, Devonte Adams as a,
Uh-huh.
and then their defense, the Raiders defense definitely got better over the year, and they just signed Christian Wilkins, which we'll get into later. So there's a lot of good things to Las Vegas, but uh, yeah, it's kind of the same situation as the Bears though. So I don't know, man. I think the Bears would be stupid to let him go.
Yeah, I
Honestly, it's
and
too
I'm
soon.
slowly but surely seeing more Bears fans be on the side of Justin Fields, but I don't know. Another
Do you really
organization.
want to restart and
Uh,
do the QB carousel? Like, you've been through it enough, Bears fans. Like,
yeah,
when's the last time you've had a good quarterback?
yeah,
Like, Mitch
another.
Trubisky in 2018 was like the last thing you've seen from like a pretty good, decent. Like, Jay Cutler has probably the best quarterback in your history. It's pretty sad.
Bears also today picked up De'Aaron Swift, former Lion, former Eagle. Had a good year in Philadelphia last year, I would say, for
I think,
the position he
uh,
was in and what he was doing.
yeah, any bad thing that happened to him, you could probably just blame on the fact that it was just the Eagles' absolute collapse at the end of it. You saw what you did in the Lions when he has a full starting job. I definitely expect that from him, where he's going now. So, the Bears obviously, uh, with Fields have a pretty good run game. So I mean, adding this would. It also allows for more of like a catch and run from the backfield, which I think they were lacking
Mhm.
a lot of. So
And I think him and Herbert together, like that's a pretty good backfield in the NFL.
yeah, for
To
sure.
have both of them in the backfield together. Um, Another guy that's going to be in the backfield next year, Baker, re-signs with the Buccaneers, a 3-year, $100 million deal. Had an outstanding 2023-2024 season. And Mike Evans re-signed, and so did Baker. So they're going to be running back what they had this year. Um, in my opinion, I think it's a little harder division this year.
Yeah,
Um, with the Falcons,
you're gonna have to go for the Falcons band for
yeah,
band. So
yeah. With that, I don't know if we'll see the exact success that they had last year. I think they could still go out there and be a 10-win team, but
were they even a 10-win
I
team
think
this
they
year?
were
I
nine
think
and
they were
eight,
9-8, right?
9-8. I think.
And I guess we never really got to see the full potential of them because I mean they did keep it really close against the Lions, and I
Yeah,
think they played better than their 9-8 record in the playoffs. But sometimes they would drop a stinker, so it's hard to tell. But I'm happy for Baker to finally get a stable
like
home
yeah,
where people want him, and he has obviously a good wide receiver core and a pretty decent defense. Uh, I think if he could stay consistent, that's the one thing I have had with him from the past experience with him and the Browns. The consistency is what I didn't like from him, and I guess we'll see if going into year two, if he can stay consistent or it's
hmm
another Baker situation.
yeah. Um, we're gonna continue on the running back train here for a little bit. Um, Pollard to the Titans. Pretty much kind of rules out any Derrick Henry coming back and re-signing, which we'll get into in a second. But what are your opinion on that?
That's not bad. Pollard obviously had a pretty disappointing year
Yeah,
last year. Cost them the Miami game from last year. I can remember. He showed really promising numbers when they still had Zeke, and once they got
yeah.
rid of Zeke, it kind of I think the idea of being the main guy just threw him off. Uh, he's gonna go to the Titans, who obviously are gonna be without Eric Henry, and I think
Ryan Tannehill's
uh,
not coming back either. I don't believe that's gonna happen.
oh for sure, they have a lot of answers to get, and I think Pollard there would be pretty decent. I don't really see anyone like competing for him with the number one spot. I know Spears was pretty decent. I don't even know if they have Hassan Haskins anymore. They might. I don't know, but uh, he should be a pretty decent starter.
Yeah, like you said, he showed traits of being a number running back one when Zeke was there, and it really just didn't really come together last year. But Dallas is done with him. He's going to Tennessee. Another running back that is done, which is going to be weird to see him in another jersey, but Saquon Barkley to Philly to replace that hole of De'Aaron Swift. Upgrade for
Yeah,
sure, 100%.
it's gonna be weird seeing him in a Eagles jersey, just
Yeah,
because he's been a Giant for 6 years of his career. Yeah, I guess we'll see if me being so highly of him is actually going to be realistic or it was delusional. Because I
uh,
think if you get him in a completely new system, get him away from the dumpster fire that is the Giants, um, and just give him a good old restart with a pretty good Eagles team running it back this year. So definitely should do better than he has in the past, especially these past few
yeah.
seasons.
That Eagles O line is pretty good, so he should have some holes. And I gonna touch on now, but the Eagles extended Landon Dickinson. So that they definitely have the pieces in Philly. It just is all a matter of time and when they'll collapse again.
Yeah.
Um, Another running back, Josh Jacobs, leaves Las Vegas to be a Green Bay Packer. With that, Aaron Jones is released. Shocking to me the way that Aaron Jones
No.
ended last year. Um, but yeah,
So weird. Um, Absolutely insane that they would try to cut him. If you see in any like Packers Twitter or any fans that they have, they would say that Aaron Jones is the heart of the team after Rodgers left. And to see them just get released like that, along with David Bakhtiari, which is another one of the Green Bay's faithful, pretty weird to see. I thought so. The Jacobs going to Green Bay was released before the Jones getting released was put out to the public. So there's about an hour where Packers fans were pretty hyped about having both of them in the same backfield, and then only to have the heart ripped out after an hour later. They were like, "No, Jones is going." So it was pretty sad. Jones had one of the best seasons of his career and absolutely smacked the Cowboys. So wherever he goes, he'll be great. But I think the organization saw more with Jacobs than Jones. So I don't know.
yeah, and I don't know because I haven't like looked into it too much, but I don't know if there was contracts coming up.
Well, there
That
was they were
it's just
restructuring Jones's contract,
that would
and
make
it sounded
sense.
like things were going well the day of. So I don't know what happened. Something must have turned sour or
They
something.
must have gotten this Jacobs in there and realized, but the money probably just didn't line up with what they were going for. Um, I could see like a team like the Cowboys who Jones absolutely destroys, and he's from Dallas. That would be a pretty decent landing spot. But
It's either
rumored,
that or Henry.
yeah, this morning rumored um that Derrick Henry and the Cowboys are close to a contract agreement.
Yeah, so if we see Derrick Henry in a Cowboys uniform, we'll definitely know if the washed allegations are true.
Yeah,
The Titans ever since their 2021 season where they made it to the championship game, the AFC
yeah,
championship game. I can't remember. I don't remember where they died, but uh, they made it really far that year, and ever since then, it hasn't been the same for anybody. And with that, Derrick Henry's also taking a hit, but you could probably blame that on just bad team play.
yeah.
And it would definitely be interesting to see if it is truly his fault or he has a resurgence in Dallas.
Real quick, Griffin, can you turn your camera off and on again?
Oh,
Hi, you're back. You were frozen for that whole thing. I was making fun of you. Uh,
okay.
um, I guess last pickup that we'll talk about. There was a lot today. We kind of only targeted like the key um people that we felt would be the most interesting to talk about. You already talked about how the Raiders signed Christian Wilkins, and I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, definitely a good move. The money I saw for that was crazy though. They paid him like 100 something million. I know he's good, but I don't know if he was that much money good. We'll definitely see though. Him and Crosby should be really well on that defensive line.
Yeah. Um, last re-signing I want to talk about. Chris Jones over the weekend re-signed with the Chiefs. This was kind of already hinted to at the Super Bowl. He wanted to come back, and then about a week ago he posted um, just like selfies with him and Andy Reid. So kind of knew this was coming. Very good pickup for the Chiefs. One of the most feared defensive tackles in the league, and has been one of the most producing defensive tackles in the league the last couple of years, and it's a big reason why the Chiefs have had the success they've had.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I knew that he was gonna have to get re-signed. The defense, obviously, he was one of the biggest cornerstones of the defense, so definitely had to bring him back.
Yep. And we got three more things in the NFL. David Bakhtiari. Oh my gosh, I screwed that one up.
David
Bakhtiari.
Bakhtiari.
Bakhtiari released. In my opinion, that's like the end of the Rodgers era. Like
Yeah,
obviously it's been done, but there was some pieces that he had left behind, and I think this just kind of just ends it. And then expected. This came out this morning. Expected that Eric Armstead is also going to be released from the 49ers anytime now, really. And then last thing I wanted to like point at before we move on is this morning woke up to T Higgins requesting a trade from the Bengals. Bengals franchise tagged him last week, and now he wants out. This one, I mean, it's the NFL. I know it's a business. It kind of confused me a little bit because I know that franchise tag was put in place so that he wouldn't go somewhere in free agency and then they could restructure his contract, like make a new contract and come to an agreement. But I guess 1 week was just too long for T Higgins and he wants out.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. You got three wide receivers on your roster that feel like they're capable of being a wide receiver one, and they want the money that goes with that title. Shit's gonna happen. And T Higgins, obviously last year with Jamar Chase being kind of injured half the time, being not as consistently starting, T Higgins definitely found his stride in a few games, and definitely showed enough to be a wide receiver one. So he's definitely being told by either his agent or himself that he could definitely get more money and have better numbers elsewhere. So screw you, Bengals. Knew this day was coming. You were just too scared to admit it. Uh, enjoy that big three while it lasted.
Yeah, they have to re-sign Tyler Boyd. Because if they don't re-sign Tyler Boyd, that quarterback room went from really high on the rankings to pretty mid on the rankings, which because Jamar Chase is going to keep it up there no matter what. But yeah, this one's sad. I thought that this contract conversation would go further into the spring, into the summer, um, before OTAs, but
Nope.
nope.
L.
Okay, buddy. No show Joe. Done. We're out of the football realm. No show Joe this week. You're up first.
All right. So my no-show Joe was the entire Tennessee defense up to with 1.1 seconds to go. So kind of what we touched on a little bit earlier in the show. South Carolina shouldn't have even been in the title game against LSU because of this game we're about to talk about. Tennessee was up 74, 73,
73, 71.
71 with 1.1 seconds left. And South Carolina was inbounding the ball. Now you would think in a situation like this, by all means guard the three. If you give up a two, the game is tied, so the world is not over, but obviously don't allow an easy one like that. So you'd think the defense would be very harshly guarding the 3-point line. And you would be completely wrong. This defense that they had was absolutely atrocious. They had no idea what they were doing. Either it was a miscue or they just was like, okay, let's let them win. Because they just inbounded it to obviously pretty unfortunate that the one girl you leave unguarded is like the worst shooter ever and somehow makes it. But in any level above high school, you don't just let people get open shots like that. I don't care how bad they are. I wouldn't even give Shaq that look because anything is possible when the players are this skilled. So I have no idea what went through Tennessee's mind when making that defensive game plan, but they deserve to lose.
Yeah. Um, I would even say even into like youth basketball. I mean, if anybody in the world, as long as you can put the ball above the rim, there's a chance that that ball goes in the hoop. And I don't care if she's never made a collegiate three in her life. You're out there with a chance to beat the number one team in the nation, a team that has not lost in 32 straight games, and you don't guard someone at the top of the key. It just baffles me.
Pretty
And
nasty work. Pretty
like
nasty
even just a
work.
hand in the face. If they would have lost and they would have contested the shot, wow, that girl just made her
Respect to
first
them.
collegiate
Yeah,
three on a crazy game winner.
respect
But
to it.
no.
Didn't
Um
even guard her.
my no show Joe this week. I was originally one person, but I'm actually gonna flip it to two people. I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert in the fourth quarter and overtime versus the Cavs this week. Anthony Edwards was held scoreless in the fourth quarter. and overtime. I don't know exactly what he shot. I think it might have been like 0 for 9, but he ended the game 7 for 27 from the field, which is absolutely abysmal. And then the Rudy Gobert situation is, it's all about money here. Rudy Gobert, Jared Allen going up for a rebound. Rudy Gobert hooks him, pulls him to the ground. It's just a common foul. That was his 5th foul. And then he proceeds to look at the ref and do the money sign.
They're paid off.
Yeah, and then gets teed up, 6th foul. Gets put on the bench with probably like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And was non-existent from there. Cavs tied it up, went to OT, and then just ran away with it. Won by 9 in OT. And I mean, when Naz Reid, I know he's a good role player, but when Naz Reid is your leading scorer and your
Yeah,
go-to guy in overtime, recipe for Owen's no-show Joe of the week. And Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, I'll be sending you your trophies next week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Edwards had a crazy game against the Pacers earlier that week.
The night
And
before.
and then pulls up to Cleveland with an absolute stinker. I saw some people saying that the officiating was really bad.
It
I mean,
wasn't though.
to an extent, I could see where you're coming from, but I've seen NBA games refereed so much worse. And they were talking about how they wanted the Cavs to win. Like the Cavs are one of the
Like
smallest markets. Like what are you talking about? So I saw a lot of people like coping about it, saying that the refs were paid off, and I'm like, it could just be the fact that
your
like
team
the top 2
lost,
players on your team that did not
didn't
show
show.
up.
And like I'm the guy that I'll sit there and call fouls against my own team because I understand the game and I know what a foul is and I know what I'm sitting there on the couch watching Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, McDaniels. I'm sitting there watching them complain about every little thing. That wasn't a foul, dude. And you complaining just lost you the game, basically. So
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say for my no show, Joe. But gosh, you think these dudes have been playing basketball for 20 years? They would understand what a foul is and what's not a foul. But
Yeah.
they get babied a little in the NBA, so I understand.
Yep.
That time. It's that time of the podcast. Booth
That's
battles
true.
time.
Battles.
All right, so I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be
Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Horrible week for me. All right,
Horrible.
I did end up picking 2 underdogs, but 4 for 4 is so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty
Like
ass.
actually abysmal.
Yeah, it's pretty ass.
And I've always talked about how like it's a marathon. I'm gonna catch Griffin eventually, and I still believe that.
Yeah.
I think now it's like I'm gonna catch you on the
You just
final
tripped.
stretch.
Yeah,
Like
you
I
just tripped.
like
You tripped.
originally I was gonna catch you at like the halfway mark, the 13-mile mark, but I think now I'm gonna catch you on the home stretch.
Yeah, you
But
definitely tripped this week.
I went
For
4 and
sure.
4, racked up 600 points. Griffin went
And what I
7 and 1, 900 points. Also had 2 underdogs. Poor look for me. I mean, when I pick an NHL team to win and they're down 5-0 and they lose 7-0, that's my
How does
fault.
it go?
I gotta do better research. But
Yeah.
overall, Griffin's up 3,400 to 2,900. I got a 500 point deficit. But you know what? I might not have cooked this week, but if mine hit, dude,
You're putting it in the oven.
I'm putting it in the oven, and
It's not cooked.
if it preheats to where I want it to preheat, 1,000 point week for me.
Yeah.
I'm
While you
gonna
were busy putting it in the oven, I was putting it on the grill, literally cooking.
oh my
Uh,
god. So
and it tastes a little bit better this week.
NBA. This could be a stupid pick. I'm not gonna lie. So Griffin took Mavs over Thunder about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with it. Mavs over Thunder. I think
That
it's
ain't working
in
again, bro.
OKC, so
That
that
ain't
might
working
not
again,
be
bro.
good. And Shea
That
is
ain't
gonna
working
drop 30,
again, bro.
but we'll see. And then the next one, the okay, I can't really call them hot right now, but the Lakers and winning mentalities right now. They're in that little winning ways. I'm taking Lakers over Warriors. Warriors have been struggling. Without Steph Curry, I mean he is on the floor, but when Steph Curry is not on the floor, they're a completely different team. I mean Jonathan Kuminga, he has to go out there and drop 29 alongside Curry if they want to win a game. So taking the Lakers over Warriors as my second NBA pick.
Okay, so let me just talk a little bit before I get into mine. Uh, DraftKings or FanDuel or any other sports book, if you need anyone to give you advice or like to get on the show and be an analyst for what people should and shouldn't pick, I will give you my number and my contact information because obviously you need me. What a dog. The only one I missed was Kyle Busch because he spun out. Like I missed on a NASCAR driver. I was 6-0 on my actual games. I predicted the Bucks to lose without LeBron and the number 1 seed by far in the NBA to lose to Denver. Denver's a good team, but it's the freaking Celtics. And they won. So, I mean, who's better than me right now? Nobody. And we're going to keep it rolling with these picks today. So I got the Pelicans over the Clippers. Clippers, cool, but Pelicans better. Not really,
I
but
thought I thought about this pick. I'm not gonna lie. It really did sit in my head for a second.
yeah, okay. Well, I think that would explain why there's a difference between me and you. You think about it, I pull the trigger. Yeah, different people, obviously. And then I get the Pacers over the Nets. The Nets are pretty trash, and the Pacers, they've been bouncing in and out of like the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed in the East. They should be able to get a dub over the Nets, hopefully. But sometimes the Nets gonna burr up their ass and beat good teams. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is not their week.
If Cam Thomas shows up, Nets are winning, but that's just if he shows up. Um, NHL. All right, so struggled on my NHL bets the last couple weeks, and I might struggle again this week. I don't know. I'm either hitting a home run or I'm grounding out to first. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no, you're getting struck out.
no, I'm making contact. I
No,
don't get struck
no,
out.
no.
No, no,
You're
no, no, no,
yeah,
no,
no.
no, 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 no,
Okay, foul ball. You want to say foul ball?
no, I'm making
Yeah, you're
contact.
getting a foul ball.
Okay. Yeah, I'm popping out to the first baseman in foul territory.
How far?
Um,
Immediately caught.
Lightning. Lightning ruined me this week because they beat the Flyers 7-0. So I'm rolling the dice with them. Lightning over Panthers. Lightning should be favorited, I think, but that's a good
What?
matchup. I I think
You think
the
the Panthers are going to be favorited? The
no, the
Panthers are the
Lightning.
best team
The
in the
Lightning.
NHL. They're the best team in the NHL by far, by record. They're definitely going to be favored. So this might be an underdog pick for you, and if it works,
Okay,
it works.
so the Panthers have 10 games on the Lightning. Wow. Holy crap. Holy crap. All right, but the
Hey, there's
Lightning
time though.
the
There's time though.
the
There's time.
Lightning are hot right now, bro, and they are going to strike the Panthers, dude. And then I'm rolling with
Oh
another
man.
one, okay? So about 3 weeks ago, I took Blue Jackets over Anaheim Sharks. No, San Jose. San Jose Sharks. And they lost. But they lost in
Yeah.
OT
Yeah.
in San Jose.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the Jackets bring it back to a sold out crowd because that's how Nationwide Arena is. And I think they get their revenge, their get back game on them. Right?
All right.
And they win.
So, all right. So first of all, they just traded away a good centerpiece
Dude,
because that's what the Blue Jackets do. That's
I
that's
don't
their bread and
this
butter.
is the
Is
thing
getting
though.
rid of their future.
This is the thing though. The Blue Jackets could have no star players and they'll still be a mid team. They could have all star players and they'll still be a mid team.
Yeah, so the definition of
So
mid.
no matter who's on the ice, they're gonna win some games because they're just a mid team.
I mean, the Sharks are really bad.
They are pretty bad, yeah.
So you're probably going to hit that one, but it would be funny as hell if the Sharks double down and beat them again. Me on the other hand, I know my NHL picks. I don't think I've lost one in a few weeks. So we're just gonna keep it rolling here. I have the Red Wings over the Coyotes. The Coyotes, they're okay, pretty decent. I think they're pretty like 500, and the Red Wings are, I'd say like a, I think they're a little bit like a few games over 500. So it should be like a pretty decent matchup. I know the Coyotes actually beat the Red Wings earlier in the season, but that's not happening again. That was a fluke. The Red Wings shut out to Detroit. You guys are better than Arizona. And then I have the Dallas Stars over the Kings. The Kings are pretty good, but the Stars are probably the second best team in the NHL. The Stars should get it done. This is the only Dallas team that I actually have faith getting far. Is the Dallas Stars.
Interesting pick there, bub. Um,
Interesting pick. What are you thinking?
NCAA basketball conference tournament week. Now we did have to kind of. I mean, I modified it, but I'm the one that instructs this whole thing. But so
Yeah.
kind of changed how we did it. So like if a team had a bye in the first round, you could say that team's gonna beat the team that they play, or that team's gonna lose to a team that they would eventually play. So I'm taking Northwestern, the 4th seed in the Big Ten men's basketball tournament, to lose their first game of the tournament, which is either it's Wisconsin, Maryland, or Rutgers would be the 3 teams that they would play, and I am taking one of those 3 teams to beat Northwestern in Northwestern's opening game. And then I'm also a team that really kind of knocked themselves out of March Madness, which I mean, they might still be there. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but Michigan State over Minnesota. Okay, Michigan State picked up some bad losses at the end of the year. Bad loss to Ohio State. Bad loss to Indiana.
You guy's a yapper.
But okay, bro, come on. I'm taking Michigan State over Minnesota. All right, that's it.
Very boring from you. You have an entire week's worth of conference championship games, and you go with these, bro. Like, are we
I am
really
rolling
serious?
with the best regular season conference in NCAA basketball. All right, they might not do good in the NCAA tournament. All right, but they are by far the best conference to watch in regular season college basketball.
Hey, someone's calling the phone. The Big East is calling. They want to know what that statement means.
It means we have more teams than UConn,
Wait, hold
Marquette,
on.
Villanova,
Okay.
and St. John's.
Is DePaul a part of the Big? They're
Yes.
not. Oh, they are. Wait, actually?
Yes.
No way. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. The Big. They're 0-20 in conference play.
Yeah, I think they're the first Big East team to ever go 0-20.
Well, see, records are meant to be broken here, folks, and the Big East is just great at doing that. Good and bad. I mean, if you look at the top like 5, like they're pretty decent. I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
goes off pretty bad
But I
at the end.
mean, teams like Seton Hall, Creighton, UConn, even they're always good, and Villanova is usually pretty good too. But I'm
They're
looking
actually
at a
having a
Villa.
pretty off year.
I know, and I'm looking at a Villanova team that's 17-4, and they're the last 4 in, and I'm looking at a Buckeyes team that has 2 more wins than them, playing in a better conference. Whatever. The Buckeye
Okay,
hate you.
well,
The Buckeye.
let's get let's
I'll
okay.
let you. I'll let
All
you do
right,
your
all right,
picks. I'll let you do your
all right,
picks.
all right, all right.
Ah,
Let me get to the
jeez.
actual best conference in basketball. The
That's
MAC.
facts. That's facts. That's
The
facts.
MAC. So obviously, you can't see because you can't see my room anymore. But there's bowling green flags all over this damn place. Uh, we're gonna take BG over Central Michigan in the first or second round of the MAC tournament. BG's on a mission to the moon is where we're going.
Hey, I can't
We're
hate
gonna
you.
get
I
that
can't hate
bid.
you on this. I can't hate you on this.
We're gonna win the tournament and get the bid because that's because we're a bunch of dogs around here. And then I know I said sometime a while ago I was never gonna pick on a SEC, but that was just Alabama, right?
Regular season. You weren't gonna pick SEC in the regular season anymore.
True. This is
Got you.
new. Texas A&M over Ole Miss. Texas A&M's kind
I
of a bunch of dogs over there.
I don't hate this pick either. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're a bunch of dogs over there, to be honest. And Ole Miss isn't bad either, but Texas A&M, like they're like I think they're like 18-12 right now.
They got Wade Taylor, their point guard. He's really good.
Like they're just playing in a tough SEC that literally everyone beats each other at least once. So they're a bunch of dogs over there. They're gonna get it done. A bunch of them Aggies are gonna whoop some Mississippi ass, and they're gonna give me another 6-0 this week, so I could keep whooping Owen's ass.
Okay, buddy. On to NASCAR. You know, I think I got kind of screwed over last week. I mean, Denny Hamlin finishes 11th.
He finished
Uh,
12th, actually.
oh,
Actually, he
sorry.
finished 12th.
Sorry. Denny Hamlin was in 11th going into turn 4.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually.
Um, Oh, Joey Logano, just he fell back and he didn't have a good day.
He got crashed out.
The villain lineup didn't work, and I understand that. But
Backfired really hard actually.
this week I am riding with the Kyle lineup.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I'm taking Kyle Larson. Has just been a great driver. And like I can't hate on the dude. He's so talented. And then I'm taking Kyle Busch. Has had a rough
Rough.
start to the season. Bad pit crew, unlucky events happening
Bad
on the
call.
track. Not a
Bad
great car. Shouldn't have left Joe Gibbs.
Yes.
Shouldn't have left Joe Gibbs. But he gets his bounce back this week. Top 10 finish, and actually, I think he's going to get 8th.
You thinking 8 for his number 8?
Yeah.
So is Kyle Larson going to get 5th for his number 5?
Yep.
All right. So apparently Owen decided that today was going to be the day he wakes up with a Monster Energy drink and a Monster hat flat bill on today. So that's why he went with the Kyle lineup. Have fun punching a hole in your wall, Kyle. I'm going with the Toyota Broskies that just absolutely destroyed Phoenix. I got Christopher Bell, who won the race outright, and then I have Tyler Reddick. So both of these are dirt track drivers who started dirt. They're not racing dirt, but Bristol, in its nature, is just a nasty fight. And I got both these guys are going to show up, get me some more points. And if neither of them wreck or have bad pit stops, they should be in the top 10.
Fair. Wow, dude, I love booth battles, dude. This is actually awesome. But that's gonna be the end of the pod. Instagram did go up this week. We'll start posting there for the future on fourth at Booth Seat Sports on Instagram. Other than that, every episode every Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Peace.